Today I'm going to show you how to make lots and lots of sprites at one time. And here's an example. These are populating 100 little sprites every time I refresh at a random location, and they're all responsive, so they all respond to a mouse click. So let's jump in and see how to make it. We're going to create this in Game Lab. Normally the way you'd make a sprite is to go to the Sprites toolbox and grab the first two blocks. The first one creates a sprite on the screen, in the middle of the screen. The second one connects it to an image, so we need to create that image now. We'll come over here to the Animation tab, and you could do anything you wanted, but I want it to be very small, so I'm going to just draw something. And maybe I'll draw a circle. And in the example I made it red earlier, so let's try like a bright green. Okay. And then the last thing you need to do is to draw it on the screen. That's how you would make one sprite or two sprites. But if you want to make lots of sprites, that could get tedious, and we have another way that we could do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to, let's get rid of these for just a moment. And let's start with just the var x. And we'll call it sprite. And then to make sure that I'm actually doing something, I'm going to console log down here. That will just put a message down in this bottom box. So if I leave it at message, you can see message pops up down here. And now I'm going to backspace off the quotation marks and backspace off message and just put sprite down there. So we can see the value of this variable. So right now it is undefined. We didn't set it to equal to anything. So let's do that now. Let's set it equal to something. So we're going to set it equal to just two square brackets, which represents an empty list or an empty array. And now when we run it, you can see those empty marks right there. Okay, now that we're set up, we're going to grab a for loop and put it up here above the draw loop. And so by default, it's set from 0 to 4. I'd like to go just a bit larger and go 0 to 10. So I'm going to make 10 sprites this time. So what I want to do is 10 different times I want to set the value of our sprite in its I position equal to this create sprite thing. And I'm just going to stick this down here out of the way somewhere because I only actually want the red part. There we go. Now I'm going to get rid of this. So here's what it's saying. I'll start here at line 2. Whenever I equals 0, then make a sprite called sprite 0. And put it right here. And then add 1 to I. So now I equals 1. And set sprite 1 to create sprite. And so hopefully when I hit run, this console log will print out the names of all of the sprites that are collected inside this list. Let's try it out. Okay, it did not print the names, but it did show me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it did create 10 things inside of that list. So I think we're okay. Now the next thing to do is we want to draw them on the screen. Now because they're all in the same location, we're only going to see one of them, right? So let's do this. There is something that exists, and there are 10 somethings out of that from here. But they're all at position 200, 200, which is the center of the screen. So in order for this to really show up, let's make another for loop in here. And let's set it from 1 to 0 to 10, 0 to 9, and let's give the x and the y a new position. So enemy square bracket I, enemy square bracket I, and I'll go over what that means again in just a second. And we're going to set each one of those to a random number. And I'm just noticing these are going to bounce all over the place because this isn't exactly the way I did it in the example I showed at the beginning. But let's watch it anyway. Ready? Woo! Let's take this out. Enemy square bracket I square bracket. There we go. We can't figure out what... Oh, you know what? These are called sprite. They're not called enemy. I did enemy the last time because I was thinking of a game where you battled against all these little things. Alright, let's try that. Ooh, that's nice. Now let's add a background so that we can see all of them. Put that right there. Wow, that's so much cooler than what I was trying to do. It's a little sickening. Okay, so let's change them so they look like this green dot. So we want to do that. To do that, we'll grab the set animation and we'll do it as we create them. As soon as we create sprite square bracket I, we'll go ahead and give them that look. Okay, that's pretty cool. I think I don't like that it's changing to a random position so often. So what I think I'm going to do is take this new X and Y position and actually put it up here so that it only happens once. Because things in the draw loop, in the green, happen over and over and over. Things up here above it only happen once. So that means this is empty. I'll just leave it there for now. It's not hurting anything. Okay, so it randomly placed 10. Let's reset it. Yeah, looks like we're getting good coverage. It's hitting all 4 corners. So that's actually doing what I want. So the only thing left to do is to program some interactivity so that you can actually mess with them. So let's go and grab an if. And this is why I saved this, because I want to be able to check 30 times per second if these things have been touched, each one. So that's why I still needed that there. Now, if our mouse is pressed over one of them, here we're going to have to say enemy square bracket I. If our mouse is pressed over square bracket, enemy square bracket I, then we want it to go away, right? So there's a destroy down here. There it is. And we want to say enemy square bracket I, destroy. Alright, let's try it out. Oh, I'm doing enemy again, but he's actually named Sprite. Sorry. There we go. So now I can press them and make them disappear. You know, if you added a timer, this could be a game. Now watch this. Like if I click an individual one, everything's cool. But if I click them where they're close together, it's actually getting both of them, which is not good. So let me explain what's happening. Wonder if... Yeah. Okay, so here's what's happening. Even though the part we see of the animation is the green with the black line around it, there's actually more. Notice all this empty space out here. So if I'm clicking, if there's another one over here and I click him, I'm actually getting both of them clicked at the same time. So we need to shrink this so there's no gray space around it. And the way we do that is with this little button, crop sprite. And now when we run it, it should be much more particular about accidentally grabbing his neighbors. Now if you can do this with 10, you can do this with 100 just by changing the number right here. And right here. Oh, that's nice. There's a lot of those. Might as well try 1,000, right? And you could give each one a random color if you wanted to do that in here. Might look cool. Might not. Wow. Okay. And that's how you make lots of sprites at once. Have fun.